Namaste, myself Triveni Khurana, Assistant Professor, Faculty Physiotherapy and Diagnostics. Today we are going to discuss about hospital ergonomics. Hospital provide many opportunities for ergonomic stressors to manifest into injuries or repetitive stress disorders. Major ergonomic issues in the hospital settings include patient handling and awkward postures. Ergonomics is an applied science that deals with the adaptation of work and workplace to the characteristics and capabilities of the worker so that he or she may perform the duties of the job effectively and safely. It addresses the worker's physical capacities in relation to the physical requirements of the job, that is strength, endurance, dexterity, flexibility, ability to tolerate positions and postures, visual and auditory acuity, as well as his or her mental and emotional status in relation to the way the work is organized, that is, work schedules, workload, and work related stress. Ideally, adaptations are made to the furniture, equipment, and tools used by the worker and to the work environment to enable the worker to perform adequately without risk to himself or herself, co-workers, and the public too. Occasionally, it is necessary to improve the worker's adaptation to the job through example is special training and the use of personal protective equipments. Since the mid 1970s, the application of ergonomics to hospital workers has broadened. It is directed now at those involved in the direct patient care, that is physician and nurse, and those involved in ancillary services. These are technicians, laboratory staff, pharmacists, and social workers, and those providing support services such as administrative and clerical personnel, food service staff, housekeeping staff, maintenance worker, and security staff. Extensive research has been conducted into the ergonomics of hospitalization, with most studies attempting to identify the extent to which the hospital administrators should allow hospital personnel latitude in developing strategies to recognize an acceptable workload with good quality of care. Participatory ergonomics has become increasingly widespread in hospitals in recent years. More specifically, wards have been reorganized on the basis of ergonomics analysis of activity undertaken in collaboration with the medical and paramedical personnel, and participatory ergonomics has been used as the basis for the adaptation of equipment for the use in healthcare. In studies of the hospital ergonomics, workstation analysts must extend at least to the department level. The distance between rooms and the amount and location of equipment are all crucial considerations. The frequent interruption that hinder caregiving and the effect of psychological factors associated with confrontations with serious illness, aging, and death must also be addressed, including physical strain that is the primary determinants of health. Accounting for all these factors is a difficult task, but approaches focusing only on the single factor will fail to improve either working condition or the quality of care. Similarly, other patients' perception of the quality of their hospital stay is determined by the effectiveness of care they receive, their relationship with the physicians and other personnel, the food, and the architecture barrier. Basic to hospital ergonomics is the study of some and interaction of personal factors. These are fatigue, fitness, age, and training. And circumstantial factors, these are work organization, schedule, floor layout, furniture, equipment, communication, and psychological support within the work team, which combine to affect the performance of work. Precise identification of the actual work performed by the healthcare worker depends on ergonomic observation of entire workday and collection of valid and objective information on the movements, postures, cognitive performance, and emotional control called upon to satisfy work requirements. This helps to detect factors that may interfere with effective, safe, comfortable, and healthy work. This approach also sheds light on potential for workers suffering or taking pleasure in their work. Final recommendations must take the interdependence of the various professional and ancillary personnel attending the same patient into account. These considerations lay the ground force for further specific research. Analysis of strain related to the use of basic equipment such as beds, meal carts, and mobile X-ray equipment may help clarify the conditions of acceptable use. Measurements of lightning levels may be complemented by information on the size and contrast of medication labels. Example: when alarms emitted by different intensive care unit equipments can be confused. Analysis of the acoustic spectrum may prove useful. Computerization of patient charts should not be undertaken unless the formal and information support structures have been analyzed. The interdependence of the various elements of the work environment of any given caregiver should therefore always be borne in mind when analyzing isolating factors. Analysis of the interaction of different factors influencing care: physical strain, cognitive strain, affective strain, scheduling, ambience, architecture, and hygiene protocols is essential. It is important to adapt schedule and common work areas to needs of the work team when attempting to improve overall patient management. Participatory ergonomics is a way of using specific information to bring about wide-ranging and relevant improvements to the quality of care and to working life. Involving all categories of personnel in key stages of the search for solutions helps ensure that modifications finally adopted will have their full support. Now moving towards working posture. Epidemiological studies of joint and musculoskeletal disorders, they indicate that inappropriate postures and handling techniques are associated with a doubling of the number of back, joint and muscle problems requiring treatment and time off the job. This phenomena discussed. Working conditions differ from country to country compared to conditions in India and US. Epidemiological studies of pregnancy and its outcomes shows hospital workforce is usually predominantly female. The influence of work on pregnancy often becomes an important issue. For example, 621 women who returned to hospital work after giving birth and found that higher rate of premature births were associated with heavy housekeeping chores, carrying out heavy loads and long periods of standing. When these tasks were combined, the rate of premature births was increased. That is 6% when only one of these factors was involved and up to 21% when two or three were involved. These differences remained significant after adjustment of seniority, social and demographic characteristics and professional level. These factors were also associated with a higher frequency of contractions, more hospital admissions during pregnancy and on average longer sick leave. Now, the influence of architecture, equipment and organization. The inadequacy of nursing equipment, particularly beds, seen in hospitals, patients' room, both those lodging 6 to 8 patients and single rooms reserved for the very ill, very poorly laid out and extremely small. Reports shows that these observations should lead to improvements in the comfort, safety and efficiency of nursing work. In a study in 1993 by Sorrell, the size of patient's room was problematic in 45 to 75 medium and long-term stay wards. The most common problems were lack of space, difficulty in maneuvering patient transferring, inadequate space for furniture, the need to take bed out of the room to transfer patient, difficult access and poor furniture layout, doors that were too small and difficulty moving between beds. The mean available area per bed for patients and nurses is at the root of these problems and decreases as the number of beds per room increases. That is, 12.98 meter square, 9.84 meter square, 9.60 meter square, 8.49 meter square, and 7.25 meter square for rooms with 1, 2, 3, 4 and more than 4 beds. A more accurate index of the useful area available to personnel is obtaining by subtracting the area occupied by the beds themselves, that is 1.8 to 2.0 meter square, and by other equipments. Useful surface area of 16 meters square for single room and 22 meters square for double room is usually applicable. Turning to the factors favoring the development of back problems, variable height mechanism were present on 55.1% of the 7,237 beds examined. Of these, only 10.3% had electronic controls. Patient transfer system, which reduces lifting, were rare. These systems were systematically used by 18.2% of the 55 responding wards, with over half the wards reporting using them rarely or never. Poor maneuverability of meal carts was reported by 58.5% of 65 responding wards. There was no periodic maintenance of mobile equipment in 73.3% of 72 responding wards. In almost half the responding wards, there were no rooms with seats that nurses could use. In many cases, this appears to have been due to the small size of the patient rooms. Sitting was usually possible only in the lounges in 10 units. The nursing station itself had no seats. However, 13 units reported having no lounge, or 4 units used the pantry for this purpose. In 30 wards, there were no seats in the room. Now, the evaluation of equipment that reduces physical strain. Proposals for improving beds and meal carts have been formulated by Rocher in 87 and Bugnick et al. In 1989. But their impact is too limited. Then in 1994, Tintori et al. Studied adjustable height beds with electric trunk lifts and mechanical mattresses lifts. The trunk lifts were judged satisfactorily by staff and patients, but mattresses lifts were very unsatisfactory. Since adjusting the beds required more than 8 pedal strokes, each of which exceeds standards for foot force. Pushing a button located close to the patient's head while talking to her or him is clearly preferable to pumping a pedal 8 times from the foot of the bed. Because of the time constraints, the mattresses lift was simply not used. Now, accounting for individual variation and facilitating activity. The adoption of better work posture is conditioned by the possibility of wearing appropriate clothing. Quality of shoes is particularly important. Hard soles are to be avoided. Anti-skid soles prevent occupational accidents caused by slips and fall, which in many countries are the second leading cause of accident leading to the work absence. Ill-fitting overshoes or boots worn by operating room personnel to minimize the buildup of static electricity may be hazard for fall. Slips on level floors can be prevented by using low-slip floor surfaces that require no waxing. The risk of slips, particularly at the doorways, can also be reduced by using techniques that do not leave the floor wet for long. The use of one mop per room recommended by hygiene department is one such technique and has the additional advantage of reducing the handling of bucket of water. Now next is patient handling. Hospital employees are exposed to injuries such as muscle and ligament strain, tears, joint and tendon inflammation, pinched nerve, herniated disc or other injuries from ergonomic stressors during handling, transferring and repositioning of patients. So recommendations are minimizing the manual lifts of patients in all cases and eliminating lifting when possible. This can be difficult to accomplish. So It is recommended that employees make use of proper assist devices and equipments whenever possible. Devices such as mechanical lift equipment, shower chairs, lateral transfer devices, sliding boards, gate pads with handles, wheelchairs, repositioning devices are the examples of engineering control that should be utilized whenever possible. Administrative controls such as proper lifting training and development of written patient care plans should be created and implemented to make the best use of employees' time and abilities. Sufficient staff should be on hand to make tasks requiring multiple people, such some patient repositioning and transfers feasible. Manning common tasks for the hospital worker can create awkward postures, which include twisted, hyperextended, or flexed back positions, reaching, or lateral or side bending. Awkward postures can increase forces on the spine and in joint and can contribute to muscle and tendon fatigue or tendon joint soreness. More muscular force is required when awkward postures are used because muscles cannot perform efficiently. Good work practice recommends avoiding awkward postures while working, trying to perform your work while minimizing twisted or bent postures. Engineering controls can be used to reduce some awkward postures, making use of equipment such as patient lift, transfer device, adjustable IV stands can reduce or eliminate some awkward postures when used correctly. Ensure that good housekeeping is maintained to clear space in patient rooms and halfways to provide room for more neutral postures while walking. All employees should be appropriately trained in order to properly use equipment and ergonomic knowledge. The computer workstation can create many awkward postures and repetitive tasks. Now, what is the importance of anti-lifting? Manual patient handling techniques designed to prevent back injuries have been proposed in many countries. Given the poor results of these techniques that have been reported, more work in this area is needed. Department of Anesthesiology of the University of North Netherlands has developed an integrated patient handling program consisting of recognition of the relationship between patient handling and back strain, demonstration of the value of the anti-lifting approach, sensitization of nursing students throughout their studies to the importance of avoiding back strain, the use of problem resolution techniques, and attention to implementation and evaluation. In the anti-lifting approach, the resolution of problems associated with patient transfer is based on the systematic analysis of all aspects of transfer, especially those related to patient, nurses, transfer equipment, teamwork, general working condition, and environmental and psychological barriers to the use of patient lift. Thank you.